Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Summer Meyers. I'm a homeschool mom of 5 kids, and on this channel we talk about all things homeschool. But what if you don't like what you're homeschooling? So what do you do when you don't like your homeschool curriculum? I have hit this wall a couple of times in my 4-year homeschooling career.
Well, we don't like it. I spent money on it. We don't use it. Do we really need to? I really don't want to keep doing this.
Or my kids are like, I really don't want to keep doing this. Well, it's October. The fairs are over. How do I find homeschool curriculum? Do I even give up? I mean, should I wait a little longer? I mean, what do you do? What do you look at your 5-year-old who's like, I really don't want to do this anymore. I really don't like this curriculum. And you're like, well, I don't like it either. Tough. What do you do? So I think the main thing here is that there are some curriculums that work for your child, but don't work for you as a parent. So they are very much, you need to prepare a lot in the beginning. They facilitate learning for your kid, but it's a lot of you facilitating it rather than curriculum offering it. And I've bought curriculum there where I'm like, this is just a schedule. This doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything meatier. And there's a lot of extras that I have to prepare. I ain't got time for that. I can't got time to, go and buy a bunch of cotton swabs and some special paint in order for us to do this activity. So before you buy curriculum, always make sure that it is something that you as a parent are excited about and that you don't have to facilitate everything. So even if it looks pretty on Instagram, make sure that there's something heavier to it, that there's substance to it. Another thing to consider here, if your kid is not enjoying your curriculum, is this a character issue? So there are times where I have looked at a curriculum and I've looked at my child and I've said, developmentally, you are going through an independent phase where we are struggling in a couple of aspects of life outside of school. This is something that we have to work with as far as diligence, as far as commitment, and pushing through when we aren't feeling our best selves. And so looking at your child and saying, is this really about the curriculum, or is there something else going on here? The other thing is, when you're looking at buying a curriculum or you are in the middle of a curriculum, listen to your children. What are they saying to you while they're doing it? And children who hate curriculum that they're currently using are not children you really want to talk to while they're doing it. And I'll explain what I mean by that is they're typically whining, complaining, dragging their feet, and I don't want to do this. And it's hard to listen to that because as a parent, your natural reaction is like, you do it because I told you to do it. But if your children are expressing dissatisfaction in it, take a moment, pause, breathe, and say, I know you really don't want to do this. Can you give me reasons why? And sometimes they can't. It's just, they know somewhere in the back of their head, they're like, this doesn't feel right. This isn't what I want. And so they'll just whine or be like, I don't know. I just don't like it. But having them verbalize what they don't like is a great character development. Don't shy away from that conversation because being able to express dissatisfaction is something adults struggle in. And that is a great teaching opportunity for children to learn, this doesn't feel good, what I'm doing. And identifying why, and then being able to say, well, is it reasonable? Can I fix that? Can I address that problem? Or being able to identify and say, no, this is something that I don't need to fix. I can drop it. And being able to separate out the two and understanding and expressing that. So that is a conversation that you can work with your children. Another thing to look at with your curriculum that you are struggling with, can it be adapted? Are things unnecessary that you need to cut out? I have frequently, especially in a transition mode where I'm going from one curriculum into a next curriculum, there's usually overlay. And I expect that. I expect that with different curriculums, especially within similar age groups, that we may be repeating similar topics that we already covered last year. And that's okay. And if that's the case, then we can adapt it. We can condense it. We can skip over it, looking through the lessons and being like, is this really necessary? And I'll give you an example. My daughter is currently working through The Good and the Beautiful level 5, I believe. And they just updated their curriculum. And so a lot of what she was working on in this level, I find we already did this the last level. And not only that, she did it so well, she really didn't need to repeat over it. On top of that, we're part of a co-op where she is doing a lot of writing prep and essay writing and that sort of thing. And on top of that, I have a book list of books that I want her to read and to discuss with me. And there's a lot of overlap there. And so initially when we started the curriculum, I was making her do everything. I was like, just do everything. I don't have time right now. I'm sorry. I'm going to admit it. I didn't have time right that second to be like, wait a minute, we don't really need to do all those things. And it wasn't until a month or two in I realized, wait a minute, we can adjust this. And we condensed it and we adapted it. And now she is much more happier and more willing to go with the work. So look at her full workload. Is there any overlay there? Is there anything you can adapt or take out or pitch? You also need to know that you're growing on your own timeline. So sometimes we hate curriculum because we're following their timeline. We're following some textbooks timeline saying this, at this point, your child should have reached this milestone. So do not let the curriculum dictate to you where you're supposed to be at. So if it's got a super rigid schedule, it's okay to take some time off to really delve deep into a concept until you feel confident in it. My battery is about to die, so I'm going to do this really quick. I know this has been a bit of a rambling video. I haven't been laying it out quite as easily, but I want to end with this. If your curriculum feels like a fail, like you pulled it out and you worked on it and you've been doing it and it just is not working in your home, that does not mean you failed. And do not put that failure upon yourself. What you're saying is, yes, I did buy money on this, and yes, I had high hopes for this, but it disappointed me. I didn't disappoint myself. And you can lay that burden aside. Don't feel like you're missing out based on something that you anticipated having. Don't be afraid to drop it, is my point. It did not serve your needs, and that's it. And that's okay. And you can find a curriculum that will. There's so much out there that will address the needs of your child and address your needs as a parent, teacher, facilitator. So what do you do when you don't like your curriculum? You can adapt it, you can adjust it, you can talk your children through it, or you can drop it, mama. Just drop it. It's okay. It's okay to set that burden aside. Homeschool is tough road, man. It's a tough road, and sometimes things that worked this year are not going to work next year. And things that you have put time and effort into may end up like a ball of flame. That's okay. It's learning experience. It's growing. And I promise you that it will get better. So tell me about your curriculum fails. Tell me about if they were worth it, what you liked, what you didn't like. Let me know down in the comments if you have any tips or advice for mamas out there struggling with a new curriculum that they've bought. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.